Hey YouTube, Alan back with another Master System Monday, and this week's pick is another one from my early collection, back when the Master System was still new, and another all-time classic. It is, of course, Outrun, and it is not just a standard cartridge or a mega cartridge, it is a 2 mega cartridge. Outrun, for those that don't know, is a conversion of the arcade of game of the same name. Now, in the arcades, it was a super skater release. It was pushing kind of technical boundaries. No way in hell that was coming to the Master System without serious compromise. So yeah, you can probably see on the screen here, the scrolling is a little choppy and the sprites are obviously reduced and things like that. But you know what? It is still a fun game. I still really enjoy it and still will play it to this day. Um, sure, there's better versions, better ways to play Outrun now. But if you're collecting Mass System and you're looking for a good racing experience, then you could go far, worse than with Outrun. In fact, in general, if you look at 8-bit racers, Outrun is really up there as a great experience. And one of the key things in Outrun is, of course, things like the music and the setting. It really kind of gets you into the vibe of driving across America. The music has obviously been compromised here, but it's still really catchy. Now that's tantamount to the quality of the original tunes, but it's actually they just work well enough on the hardware, you know. So I can't help, but even when I was preparing to put this video together, I ended up just listening to the music, so it took me longer to get going than normal. And this one, as I mentioned, came from my early, days. So it's not, something I got when I was kind of getting back into collecting rant. And this came from 1992, I believe. I was actually a Christmas present, but I know where it came from. It would have been a market stall on Mead Street in Dublin, I believe. I remember going there with my parents at one point and being shocked to see some Master System games, and they were a tenner. And I was, as soon as I seen them, I was like flicking through them. And I just wish I could remember what else I seen. I'm pretty sure I might have seen Shinobi in there and maybe the Ninja, some of the early stuff. But I seen Outrun, I see basically racing. I was like, oh, I gotta, can I have that? Can I have that? So I didn't get, obviously, my parents took note and they said, oh, no, no, not today, not today, type of thing. So we left. But clearly, one of them went back and actually picked it up because a few months later, I got it for Christmas. That would be a particularly good Christmas, given that I got Outrun and Wonder Boy 3. So one was the kind of more arcade experience, one was a great kind of action adventure game. So you kind of have that, you play for a few minutes, with the arcade game, and then you move on to something a bit nichier. Obviously, being an early release, the box art is relatively simple. You have that kind of clip art, kind of cartoonish version of the Outrun vehicle and the palm trees. It kind of does capture the spirit in a simplistic scenario. And on the back then you have, like a lot of early boxes, you have the 2 screenshots and you have the hex description. So we have high action road racing adventure. Test your driving technique, speed and distance traveled over a rich variety of courses. Race at top speed towards the finish line. Enjoy such realistic features as acceleration, lane changes, diversified terrains, sudden curves, and much more for one player. And they weren't kidding. There was actually a lot packed in. Of course, you had the split paths, you had the gear changing and whatnot. And there was no kind of automatic, gearing in this. So yeah, a lot to do for such an early title. And then you have the manual, which again is your standard manual. Now you can tell by this point, for anyone who's seen, say, my Sonic one, I had, as a kid, I had colored in the manual. By this point, I had started to take things a little more seriously and realized these weren't to be destroyed. But I don't know where the stain. See, something must have stained the cover, because the rest of the manual is fine, but the cover got stained. No big deal. And I could have replaced it dozens of times, but wasn't. I don't really, mind so much the odd little blemish. These things are to be held and enjoyed and used, and they're not necessarily to be, just left sitting on a shelf forever and kept in bubble wrap. At least not the common stuff, maybe the super rare stuff. Anyway, that's really all there is to say, I suppose. This is a classic, and I think it's pretty easy to track down. Even back in the day, it was super common, which is probably why it was a tenner in the market, and no problem picking it up on eBay or anything like that for still a reasonable price compared to some games. So definitely check it out when you get a chance. Anyway, we'll leave it there. See you next week with another Master System Monday pick.